How's it? Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing? Um, Tonight, it's Monday, May 3rd. We got Judge on, Judge Brown, Man Up Monday, and I'm sure he's gonna have a lot to say about what's going on in the world today. Um, um, yeah, I'm just getting ready for the we talk about a lot of stuff. HR 572, Office for New America, and among other things. Um, Probably gonna bring it up on yeah, I gotta bring it up. We're gonna talk about the movie Buck Breaking that he's in, and a lot more. Um, so that's how we're gonna handle that. I'm pretty sure the judge he's got quite a few things to say. Um, it's been an interesting year to say the least. We've had psyops after psyops after psyops and so forth and so on. I don't know how we keep on going into this thing more and more, but we gotta separate the real from the fake. And one thing I will say about COVID-19 or stuff like that, and the judge is a man I actually respect. 85% of the things he says I kind of agree with. And, some things you just don't agree with. You love him, hate him, debate him, whatever. But he, speaks his mind. And like I said, do your own research on stuff. I mean, don't take it from me. Don't take it from the judge. Do your own research. But actually, he brings a lot of wisdom in a crazy world today. So we have to thank him for even coming. I'm not gonna say wasting his time, but speaking to the youth at a time when so many of our elders have left us behind and do not speak up for the youth and still think they got theirs. Um, he does come and give out compliments and stuff. Also, we may have a bonus edition on tonight. I'm pretty sure you've seen him on my show before. Um, but we'll see because I may want him to break up HR 572 as well. Let me make sure. Um, well, yeah, let me get him on this up. If I don't, you get what we pay for. Yeah, shout out Shaq and Chris Turry. All right. um, Not sure where he's at. Every time that it seems like we come on, he comes on a little late. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, Hannibal. Okay, yeah, it's my bad. I'll reach out to you. Give me a ring. We'll talk about it. It was a situation I wanted to talk about, but it's about this bill, HR 572. Google HR 572 and read it, and also in your city, Google or the Office for New America's Act. Um, Google the Office of New Americans Act, and you'll see how dangerous it is to people. Um, it's for refugees and stuff, and to get citizenship, and basically it's going to block you out. So HR 572, Congress bill, HR 572. Um, and then you got the Office for New Americans, and you got one in your city. I checked in my city. I got one right here in Virginia, Office for New Americans. So it is what it is. It's going to be a wild ride. I will say that. Um, and let me see, because I don't know what the judge is taking so long for. But let's just bring the surprise guest on. Um, um, yeah, I just wanted to say that. But so we got HR 572 to discuss Black Power movement and stuff like that. I want to shout out to my brothers Carter and Paul for their work they did in Chicago, for taking it to the front of the office and bringing it to the forefront in Chicago. Um, you know, it is what it is. But we do have to keep on bringing this conversation up. We're going to talk about the partially the Lizzo situation, a couple things that happened here in Virginia, and a little bit more. One thing, yesterday morning I did wake up and I had knocks on the door of a domestic dispute in the neighborhood. Um, Still gathering information on that, but yeah, I would just say with domestic disputes, we always have to be careful. If you can't, relate to the girl or whatever, you have a problem, just let it go, man. Do not take somebody else's life. Because there's a brother, there's a brother out there that was laying in the street. Um, 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 he was laying in the street naked and with blood. So yeah, that's a pretty sad thing to go through. But we just gotta have better things of conflict resolution. Um, so I do want to, I want to bring that up sometime in the show. Probably won't dwell on it, but yeah, um, that's one other thing that's going on. Um, I don't know what else I can do. So let me see. Try one more time. Um, let's pull this to HR 5. Well, let's pull this Office of New Americans up first. Are we waiting? Yeah. Okay, this is the Office for New Americans Act in Virginia, promoted by the Virginia Department of Social Services. I hope you can see it. I'm putting it up right now. But this act, you probably have one in your city. You don't know it. The Office of New Americans, established in 2020 to promote the economic and services of Virginia's diverse immigrant communities. The office is comprised of an immigrant service unit, refugee service unit, formerly known as the Office of Newcomer Services. The office is responsible for information on statewide strategy to provide immigrants with comprehensive assistance related to employment, housing, healthcare, education, citizenship, and other services for which they may be eligible. The ONA Advisory Board advises Virginia governor on ways to improve state policy and programs to support the integration of immigrants in Virginia. Explore the website to learn more about the programs and services offered by the Office of New Americans. And as you see, they got assistance, foster care, child care, community child support, and they got careers up here. This should be for everybody, but that also means they're going to get the same services as well. So this Office of New Americans Act, you see it in your city, you need to go tell your congressman or senator not to pass this act, because they're trying to pass it on a federal level, and that will be like the death nail in the coffin. So this is really what this Office of New Americans is, and this is by the Virginia Department of Social Services. So I just wanted to point that out. The Black Caucus supports it, so I just wanted to bring it up to you. Thank you for listening and watching from the Caribbean. I'm glad that you are doing that as well. Nothing against it, but we do have to listen to this thing and watch this Office of New Americans. This thing can have some dire consequences as well for a lot of people. So let's go to So this is the Office of New Americans. There's established with the Executive Office of President, the office to be known as the National Office of New Americans. The purpose is to welcome and support immigrants and refugees in the United States, to promote and support immigrant and refugee integration and inclusion in social, cultural, economic, and civic life of the United States. To ensure that the federal government federally promote the pursuit of United States citizenship among immigrants and refugees. As you can see, this bill is kind of poison. It's another psyop, but I'm looking at it like, okay, how far are these bills before we, get up and really say something? So I look at these bills, but it is what it is. So just wanted to bring that up to your attention as well, to ensure access to quality English language learning programs that support the successful integration of immigrant adults, including by enhancing employment and career prospects and economic integration, social integration in local communities, and participation in civic life, including engagement with state and local government, schools, private and nonprofit community institutions. Let's a little bit more of that. Let's see. I don't know what's taking him so long, but it is what it is. Um, so I can't worry about it. I can't worry about it though. But let's see. So what else was I talking about? Yeah. So that's it. But I got a little bit more to talk about this thing. So hold on for a minute. Um, Employment and career prospects and economic ability to improve access to workforce development programs, ensuring that such programs meet the demand and the unique language training and education needs of immigrants and refugees, to coordinate the efforts of state, federal, and local entities to support the effective social, economic, linguistic, and civic integration of rich immigrants, refugees, and children of immigrants and refugees. Um, to submit to the president and the appropriate committees of Congress a annual report that describes the activities of the office and the results of the consultation processes described in paragraphs 8 through 11. In general, the office shall be headed by a director who shall be appointed by the president and by within the office advice and consent of the Senate. The director shall establish policies, objectives, and priorities for the office with respect to immigrant and refugee integration. Children Integration Cell serves as the chair of the Federal Initiative for New Americans established under Section 4. Powers directed and carrying out any purposes under select employment, fixed compensation of such officers and employees as much necessary to carry out such responsibility with the concurrence of the head of the flagging federal agency directed temporary assignment. Reassignment within federal government of personnel employed by such federal agencies for available services, equipment, accepting use donation of property from federal, state, um, um, and local government agencies. With the mail, use the mail in the same manner related to the immigrant and the refugee related activities of the federal government, including conducting program performance audits and evaluation of such federal agency, requesting assistance from the Inspector General of the applicable federal agency, such audits and evaluations. So as you can see, this is a very long bill. I'm not gonna, I could read all of it, but I would advise people to go look at this self and read this bill for yourself. But it's HR 572, and this sitting on the House floor right now. As a matter of fact, let's look and see when this thing was actually put into play. It was introduced on the 28th of this year, January 28th. And the policy is integration. Let's see, 5 action. It has 80 co-sponsors. Let's see who these co-sponsors are. Sheila Jackson Lee. Jamal Bauman, South Carolina. Andre Carson, Barbara Lee, California. Put them these black cotton. Oh yeah, well you know Rashida's leaving them, do it. You know, and it's fine for them. Um, Val Demings, Florida, black Democrat. Ilhan Omar, you know Corey Bush. Um, oh yeah. Nakima Williams, Georgia, just want to see. She co-sponsored too, huh? Make sure y'all write these Black Caucus members down. That's right. This daggone, you know, you want to know something? I need 80 people that co-sponsored this bill. I don't see one Republican on there. Hmm. This is how you find out who really supporting these bills too. You find out who's supporting these bills right here. You go find out who co-sponsored. Their name is on this paper. Proof is in the pudding. I cannot make it any more clear. Right there. I just can't believe. Um, you know, I can't. It's going left. Um, so I don't know what else to say. So that's pretty much it right there. Candy. I don't know what she means by that. Um, so with that being said, I gotta move on to the next thing. I gotta get this guy in. Um, as I said, the brothers in Chicago really were out there fighting this thing today. And I'm gonna get some people down here in Virginia and talk about this thing um, through me. So that's it right there. Um, Next subject here. Yeah. No, I didn't get any candy. I don't know what she means by that. But It's interesting. Trying to figure this out. And this came up today. Bill and Melinda Gates are getting divorced. Now, the only thing that Bill Gates needs a divorce is to go to hell. And hoping, if you believe in heaven or hell theory, but God, Bill Gates should have been dead long since. I know about gematria in certain ways. Yes, I do know about some things with gematria, with the signs, symbols, and numerology. Like easy numbers, like 444. May 1st was the Illuminati Day, Founders Day, stuff like that, or International Workers Day. But I do know about a little bit of gematria, yes, in some aspects. But let's just say that when things happen on certain days, they happen for a reason. Like George Floyd's trial date, that was Adolf Hitler's birthday, which is funny with the National Weed Day, is actually Adolf Hitler's birthday. But I just want to say with Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, this shouldn't even came up because one thing about this, the Gates should be in jail for dead for war crimes against humanity, pushing vaccination. But I am glad that the people in India are fighting back. If you realize last week in India, they were stoning the people with vaccination squads. So that was very interesting that happened. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to bring it to the states here. I was watching a video the other day with Ice-T, and Ice-T was talking about he didn't want to give up his guns because he said that that's the last step between the government tyranny and they are trying to impose a tyranny right now in the U.S., whether people know it or not. This reminds you so much of Nazi Germany, what they're doing right now, marking these times, stuff like that. But the problem is the people don't know it and don't even understand what's going on. A lot of people. And by the way, the jab is entirely experimental. It's actually experimental, and it's not good. So it's for emergency authorization use only. So with that being said, I don't know. I got man, what the hell taking this gas so long, man? Yeah, like daggone. Let's see where he is. Let's see where he is. Come on, man. Yeah, let me see. But yeah, so he needs to be dead somewhere. But I do realize that in my neck of the woods, it was a shocking development today that Johnson & Johnson vaccines have been moved to my old high school. So they will be administering Johnson & Johnson vaccines at George Wood High School. Now, anybody with the history of Johnson & Johnson should think twice about this, but I couldn't. I was actually kind of shocked. Yeah, actually, but then again, it's not shocked where it's at. So Johnson & Johnson vaccines to be administered at George Wood High School, which actually I graduated from there. So that's actually a very interesting side note right there, but that is very, very, very interesting. Just bring that up. But Um, you know, just sign. So I want to bring this up. Um, no, hell no. All right, man, and I want now. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
I'll manage. How you doing, young man?
I'm doing. I'm doing fine. How you doing? I was just bringing
I'm
that up.
doing okay.
Yeah.
Doing
Um.
okay.
Well, yeah. I'm glad that you came on. I was waiting on you.
Well,
Now,
what we gonna talk about today?
well, I had to ask you about HR 572. That manhood quote that you gave earlier today on Twitter and more.
Okay, what is HR 572? Hey, help me out here.
Called the Office for New Americans Act. Guys wanted your opinion on it.
You mean the ones that are being waved in through the border?
Yeah,
Well, they're hoping they will settle in California, New York, and Illinois. What happened on the last census, which is under Article 1 of the Constitution, to uh, guide the reapportionment of the representatives in the House of Representatives in Congress. California lost one, New York lost one, maybe Illinois lost one. Some other states picked some up, so they want to stuff those states so they can pick representation back up in the House. The interesting thing is the illegals will not be able to vote, so you will have representatives in the U.S. House who do not represent people who can vote for them. That gives them a freebie on passing the agenda associated with the rest of the state. They also lose members of the Electoral College in the process.
gotcha.
So it's
Okay, because
effectively
I
a
had some
ballot box
brothers.
stuffing method. The illegals won't be able to vote, but they don't want them to vote. That is the far left. The far left just wants more congressmen who will represent more people who can't vote. And that gets their particular leftist agenda through.
Gotcha.
It'll be interesting in
Okay.
that context to see what happens in this vote recount that's being televised in a very boring fashion, which is good from Arizona. You're seeing every scrap of it, every single minute of it, 24/7 until it's finished.
Well, the question, because it was a brother in Chicago, and I was talking about this, and they were out there today in front of, I think, the city hall, and they were talking about, they were very upset with Lori Lightfoot and them for this Office of New Americans Act because they basically said this will basically bury black folk and put them at the bottom of the totem pole for real because it gives
Well,
housing, and job placement, and so forth and so on. So that's what
well,
they
what
really
what
was.
you're getting into is black folk have gotten obsolete in this country, and there is no longer any perceived reason among certain circles to defer to us as the preferred minority. We're no longer the
Okay.
largest minority. They have created an ethnic group minority that may have multiple races in it. If you buy a gun or you fill out an application for a loan at a federally insured bank, which all of them are, the first thing on there will be Hispanic or non Hispanic. Then you go over to what is your race, white or Caucasian, black or African American, Native American, Pacific Islander, whatever it may be, Asian. So they have created a category that receives all of the attention from, oh my God, we must save the polar bears, the tigers, the elephants, all of the endangered species. They're no longer so concerned about the biped Africans who were imported years ago and have now been released back to roam feral through the wilderness areas of America, known as the urban centers. So their altruistic urges to contribute and save poor Oscar from knowing another winter without love, chained in a kennel outside during the winter, they're being assuaged by dealing with Hispanics. Good for the Hispanics. They exercise astute political power, and some folk got tired of us. They have captured the black female. They've tried to turn the black female against the black male. They have started with us in glorifying dysfunction for 50 plus years. They've managed to destroy the nuclear family, and 82% of those 20 and under in America, all ethnicities combined, are born out of wedlock. You've got only 28% of each year's high school graduates for the last 20 years being male, only 32% of the undergrads being male, only 36% of the grad students being male, and only 44% of the workforce being male. And an interesting situation where there are more boy virgins 25 years of age and under than there are girl virgins. There are more males 30 and under staying with their parents than there are females. So this started off 50 some years ago as an effort to destroy manhood, and they've been pretty damn successful. And now their surrogates have chimed in, and you can tell the propaganda is effective because people start having the worldview and landscape of the propaganda. We start thinking in terms of defending masculinity by saying, no, we're not toxic. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. That is some new creation. Oh, I'm not homophobic. There is no such word as homophobic. That is a new creation for the last 15 to 20 years. Oh, we are trying to destroy cisgender privilege in the family. Cis is about a 20-year-old,
So how do you answer the question?
well, hold on, let me finish this. 20-year-old prefix that stands for claiming to be the same gender reflected on one's birth certificate. Now, it's gone too far. It's time to swing the pendulum back the other way. All right.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. How can we swing it
I
back the
can,
other way?
man the hell up. But you got your punk asses in line. What was that we shared?
Well, okay.
1,500 folk out there waiting 2 days overnight in the rain to be the first to be able to get some Nike Air Jordans that went on sale Thursday last week. That's a damn fool move. For the price of those Air Jordans, you could put another 75 or 100 and buy you some bang. Get you a cig or a Glock to go arm yourself. Oh, if you've kept your ass out of the penitentiary. Oh, we need to let all these righteous brothers out of the pen who've been wrongfully convicted. You and I know that's not the case. And those folk in there are not there because they played Robin Hood. They're there because they raped, robbed, killed, burglarized, stole from, sold drugs to, or gangstered their neighbors. See, we have
Well,
to
let me ask you a
man
question
up.
about that.
Men don't do
Well, let me
that.
ask you a question. Well, let me ask you a question. So, can we? Is there a way to stop us from burglarizing our neighbors and stuff like that? Is there a way to
Yeah,
stop that?
yeah.
Okay, give me a way to stop it.
I'll give you an example, but it's going to be taken the wrong way, except if you're wise. It was a white boy that did it. You saw that Marine that went outside and said, "What are you doing here in this neighborhood? You don't belong."
Yeah, I saw
Everybody's
that.
mad because it was a white boy. But see, that white boy did what black men ought to do in the neighborhood. In other words, what you doing here? Explain why you are here. Where do you live? What's your business? Why am I saying it? Because I live here and I'm a man. It's my job to make sure this place gets protected. See, we saw manhood but we wanted to take it as white supremacy because we got stuck on stupid listening to the terms of the propaganda, and that established our worldview.
Okay.
Anybody think
Well, I
about
give
it
you an
that
example.
way? Nobody
Well, I'll
seems
give
to
you an
think
example.
about it that way.
I'll give you an example here. I'll give you an example of something that just happened recently, yesterday. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and, had police banging on the door because there was a shooting in the neighborhood, right? But little to me did I know that my neighbors knew more about the situation I did because, they look out. So she was always concerned about who's riding through here, always concerned about her side. So I understand that in some contexts. So I understand that. But the thing about it is, you're saying that the young child should have fought back, or you're saying that
No,
that
he
what
wasn't a young child. He had been already arrested in the neighborhood for cruelty to animals, already been arrested in the neighborhood for criminal trespass, and a woman came out saying that he had made sexual advances on her. So that's what men are supposed to do. It just happened to be that the man was white. See, when you
okay,
see somebody that's in your hood that isn't supposed to be there, ask. But most of us, we're just going to maybe pull out our cell phones and see what the action is. By the way, the person that did the video was the man's black female neighbor. All
okay, hold
right.
on for a
So it's a
second.
mixed neighborhood. See, but it
Hold
looks like white supremacy. So
on for a
all we
second.
see is white
One second. I
supremacy.
got I got the Okay, hold on for 1 second because I got the counselor coming in because he wanted to bring up something about this HR 572 and he's getting out. Um, he said he can't stay long. Hey Gavin, what's going on, brother?
Counselor,
How you doing? I can't hear you.
Counselor Richard, unmute yourself.
But I don't know what he's doing. But he wanted to bring up something about that HR 572. So I told him to come on for a second and explain
Hold on a
it.
second. Hold
If
on.
he Okay, but okay. So you're saying that you take charge of your neighborhood. That's what you're saying. Take charge,
Yes,
and you won't have any problems.
that's what men are
Okay.
supposed
I,
to do, making where they
I,
live a
I,
better, safer, more
some
secure
of it's right.
place.
Some of it's right. Okay, but we don't. I mean, we have a thing where we don't take charge of the neighborhood because I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm asking you.
Oh, well,
Okay, let me
we
ask you a
whine
question.
about somebody doing white supremacy when we just saw a white boy take charge of his neighborhood. And he took the
Okay,
consequences.
but that means you can do the same thing. Then.
Yeah,
That means you can do the same thing, right? Okay.
yes.
Okay. As long as
I've
as
done
long as you
that
agree
out in
that we can
front
do
of
it on both sides, then I,
out in front of my place, man. What you doing here? Why are you parked out here? Man, we got a right on the street. Yeah, you may have, but you're gonna get the hell out of here right now.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
okay.
Well, you sure as hell don't want to find out.
Well,
Now
Judge,
move.
with fear and no, I
Can you hear
think,
me,
and that's,
Gavin?
yeah, I can hear you. Y'all can't hear
Okay.
me?
We can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Y'all can hear me now? Good, good. Okay. Yeah, what's up, everyone? But Judge, I just want to say, because I think you shared this article, that young man, I think possibly has some mental issues too. So,
Yes.
yeah, so I mean, this was still, a teenager, roughly, and this white boy who's big just comes up to him, talking about what you're doing in the neighborhood. I mean, he has a right, like everyone else, to walk in the
No,
neighborhood.
you don't. It's called loitering. Show your business. If you had some officers on patrol, they would have been within their duties to stop and frisk and ask what he's doing.
But if he
Show
lives
identification.
walking and walking and so forth, I mean, he lives there.
No, he didn't live there. Like he said, I live over there. He said, no, you don't. I know who lives there. He said, now leave the neighborhood. Well, I'm going, no, you going that way. And what was going on? Some woman had already called complaining that he had attempted to sexually molest her. Then there was another thing that in the preceding week, he had been arrested for cruelty to animals and also for trespass. So, see, sometimes you have a situation where a person is doing what is all otherwise lawful, but has an unlawful intent. See, that's what used to happen. Now, see, I'd fault his guardians. He's not an adult, so what are they doing letting him with the mental problems go there?
But
Plus,
that's
a
not
whole lot of
do
people
that
get
either.
killed by somebody with mental problems. See, if that were where I grew up, that neighbor, white, Mexican, black, Asian, would have jacked me up, phoned home if he knew where I was, and I would have caught hell when I got home. What you doing hanging out in front of that man's house? And then, like he said, don't talk to my wife like that. See, everything we are sitting up doing when we talk, we saw. And we didn't get it because we took it as white supremacy. See, we accept stupid on our behalf, on our behavior, and we get mad when somebody puts it in check. It doesn't make any difference if the person that burglarized your home was mentally ill. Your home got burglarized. It doesn't make any difference if somebody did something to your family dog and he has got mental issues. Your dog was hurt, and dogs are members of our family. It doesn't make any difference if somebody trespassed and he was mentally ill. He trespassed. And the point of the exercise was, where are his guardians to keep him from walking around with mental health issues, getting in trouble? He is a minor. He needs supervision. If you want to get mad,
Okay.
go to the
Well,
people that are supposed to be his guardians. Why did you let him, knowing he's got problems, roam around like that?
well, let me
You
say
ever
this,
been
Judge. I wanted to
burglarized?
bring this up. In all
I have
honesty,
many times. I don't
I will
like it. I
say
don't
this.
care whether the person's
I'm gonna say
mentally
this.
ill.
No, I don't like it either. But I mean, the cop
We
didn't know he's not a cop. The
He doesn't have to be to make a citizen's arrest.
but
He
he
could have
didn't know
made a
what the
citizen's
man
arrest
was
for
doing.
loitering. And a citizen has the equal ability to ask what your business is. That's why we've gone to hell now.
I don't like to
Because
smash
50,
all that
60 years ago, anybody in the neighborhood would have asked what your business is. Now we think we aren't supposed to wait for the police, but they get defunded, right? And you don't want the police down there because that's white supremacy. They will hurt somebody. And if somebody punks out and decides to run and gets hurt, oh man, wow, the police were wrong. See, of course they are wrong sometimes.
okay.
We don't want them in the neighborhood.
But citizens arrest, like in Louisiana, we don't have that. I mean, that's the same thing in Georgia. They try to use with Arbery, who was jogging, and they followed him with the car, and they come out and pull the shotgun out.
It went wrong.
Well, I mean, at that point, Arbery, in my opinion, when the gun came out at him, they had been according to what the investigative report is so far. I know it hasn't gone to trial. They were following him the whole time and even hit him with their car. And
well, yes, that was against the law.
Right.
But you ever heard this phrase? Sometimes I'm not advocating that anybody do it, but there's a thing called sometimes a man's got to do what a man's got to do, whether or not it's against the law. I went to jail for 5 days because some asshole who was a lawyer acting as a referee at a corrupt, privatized juvenile court was trying to play Judge Judy on a 55-year-old decent woman. And I had to say something. That had nothing to do with whether or not I was supposed to behave myself in some kind of minor court. He was acting an asshole. I did what I had to do, and I did 5 days.
Okay.
Sometimes you pay the cost for being the boss.
Okay. Hey, hold on, because Gavin can't stay long, so I gotta ask Gavin this question.
Right.
Because he said
I can stay a
little
bit.
Okay. Well, I sent you the thing earlier, and you said you would get back to me. So, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, why don't we share it with everyone to look at? This is the HR 572.
Well, share it. Yeah, I shared it earlier before y'all came
We
on.
did.
You want me to do it again?
Well, I
Yeah,
actually,
I shared
okay,
it.
well, to be quite honest, I'm just looking at this is from Congress, right?
Yeah,
Uh, this was created in 2019, and
yeah.
to release certain federal land in California from wild wilderness study and for other purposes. Okay,
Gotcha.
what other purposes are they talking about?
No,
Description
no,
of
HR 572. Wait a minute, that's no HR 572 is the Office of New Americans Act.
oh, what's I'm looking at what's on Congress's website. Okay, I didn't get.
Yeah, HR 572 is the Office of New Americans Act. That I was telling you about, and you had broke because you had broke. We were talking about it one day, and I was telling you how poisonous it is. But I had
Oh,
wanted your thoughts on it. Because when
it's
you
not.
talk to an attorney and a judge,
I
you
see
might
it here.
yeah, that's it.
I see it here. This is okay. So what I was looking at, that was something different. Obviously, this one is something that was introduced on January 28th,
Yeah,
2021. Grace Ming uh, sponsors this. As of right now, it's only been introduced into the House. It hasn't passed. But when I read the text, a National Office of New Americas to welcome and support. Oh. Immigrants and refugees into the United States to promote and support immigration and refugee integration into and inclusion in the social, cultural, economic, and this crap. I don't even have to go through all of this. So what they're doing, and this is going to bite the Democrats in the butt in 2022, because they're essentially, and I think Judge touched on it when I just came in, they're creating, like I said, a buffer class, uh, adding a new buffer class in the United States. They're trying to, obviously, it will affect the census has already been taken, but redistricting certainly could be a factor. The other factors, when I look at it as well, too, we have, this is going to impact Black America as well. When I talk about in terms of redistricting and voting and so forth, because you're bringing in all of these new immigrants here. And why I say it's going to bite the Democrats in the butt, Judge, as you know, many of the so-called minorities who are allies vote very Republican and are conservative, Hispanic
Right,
in particular. That's why Trump won Florida.
right. Tell you something else that bothers me. People are out of work. The vaccines aren't around as widely as they ought to be. We have little enough to go around to Americans, and they want to create a very expensive office for some people that committed crimes for which they ought to be put in jail, not just deported. And we want to do something to make them feel welcome, to set a precedent and invite others to commit crime where they're coming from areas, the triangle, the tri-nation area down at the junction of South America and Central America, where they're having an epidemic of monstrous proportions, a resurgence of COVID 19, and you want to bring them in and not check. We've had 11,000 known sex offenders ordered released from custody, destination unknown. We've had some right at 1 million brought in and released without any testing for COVID 19, without any designated place or destination, who have no business being in this country, who snuck in. We have a situation where Biden has got illegal families being put up to the tune of between 240 and 276,000 a family in private hotels and accommodations. Hell, that could be restitution to black folk. That is absolutely criminal.
Why is
It's
that?
obscene. It's disgusting. And I don't care. Follow the damn law. I have gone through border checkpoints, gone through customs coming back into the country. I have seen white, black, brown, red, yellow, full-fledged American citizens jacked up because they deviated slightly from what was required of them. Now, the hell you say you let somebody sneak in here who is not supposed to be here, who may be some part of one of the ISIS or Al Qaeda terrorist organizations, may be mass murderers, may be part of drug cartels, and nobody is checking. That is obscene. It's almost like
Well,
these fools are trying to pull off a coup. They're trying to get rid of the First Amendment in terms of freedom of speech with so-called hate crimes where you can't even talk, even if it's otherwise legal to say under the First Amendment, and not even a matter of defamation of character and not fighting words, but you cannot say them now because somebody calls them hate crimes. You've got an attempt to get rid of the Second Amendment that allows people to arm themselves to resist tyranny and to engage in self-defense. You've got these fools trying to get rid of the Fourth Amendment with search and seizure, and you're trying to get a move afoot to get rid of and restrict the Fifth Amendment, if that is the right to remain silent. You might as well say, just hell, start saying Zeke Heil and have some jack-booted stormtroopers going around and doing what they want to do. But no, they don't wear jack boots. These fascists wear pink panties. So
okay.
it is bad. And by the
Stop
way,
right there.
one thing, Councilor Gaffney,
Yes.
Richard, remember our discussion about, I won't give the details, but remember our discussion about the people that are in jail and penitentiary cells that shouldn't be there because of ineffective assistance of counsel, and how some wannabe attorneys and counsel think it is too much to ask of them to demonstrate an expertise in the criminal law.
Yes.
That is a shame. That's part of this process of having a damned participation ribbon where everybody gets what they want without having to really try. Where meanwhile, other people who have worked hard do not get rewarded, and the people who haven't done a damn thing are supposed to get exactly what the people who worked hard did. But there's a real world consequence because there are people sitting in jail right now because of ineffective assistance of counsel. Yet there are young, aspiring lawyers who don't want to have to demonstrate competence because that's too damn difficult. That is an obscenity. We've
Yeah. Well,
got
and let
people
me
who
say
talk
something.
about hiring black and black enterprise, but yet when you try to hire a black person to do something, a black business, they're lackadaisical, don't show up, don't do the work, and start trying to take your materials. But yes, we try to maintain black business acumen and black business support, but we don't support
Okay.
ourselves by what we
That's
do.
funny. It's sad, but it's something interesting you're saying, Judge, because I just read today. I got to say this, Bernard, and I didn't know this until I read it. But did you know that the United Negro College Fund just hired their first
Yeah, I know.
in 77 years?
First, what now?
First chairman, the United Negro College Fund.
They got their first black chairman today. Yeah, I mean, well, not today, but recently, the United Negro
First
College
black
Fund got their
chairman of
first
the United
black
For,
Negro
chairman.
College Fund.
for the United Negro College Fund. Something I always thought a Negro was on there.
No, I heard
I never
something
knew
on
that.
that, but it's been 20 years ago. They didn't think they could find anybody black they could trust. But that is a sorry statement, a statement of affairs.
Okay,
Tell
Judge,
you
I got a
something.
question for
Tell
you.
you something. Clark and Spelman and Morehouse share the same campus down in Atlanta. About 4 years ago, I escorted a female judicial colleague down there. Her daughter was graduating from Clark like she did. And we wanted to drop in and see the dean of students. We got held up because there was a fight out in front of the administration building between two parents, female black parents. And what had happened is their 21-year-old daughters had gotten into a quarrel because one of them allegedly badmouthed the other on Facebook. And here are the parents of these unruly 21-year-old, fully adult, young black female students who I assume may one day be mothers, may one day be black citizens who are engaged in business or activities in the community because they've got a college degree or activities outside of the community. They're fighting like thugs, guerrilla hood rats out of some backwoods place, and then their mothers want to have a fist fight. No damn wonder the girls acted so heathenish. When my colleague and I talked to the dean, we were advised that this was a common problem and that the students, even though they were all over 18 for the most part, some over 21, had to be treated like they were in junior high or middle school because of the lack of maturity.
Mm.
Well, let me ask you a question, Judge, because I got a friend of mine that want me to ask you a question about this filibuster thing. He wanted to know why do some votes need 50 votes or majority, and some votes need 60. Can you explain that?
Well, what happens is the Senate is supposed to have unlimited debate. So a filibuster is when so unpopular, some senator decides to talk it to death, and he can talk as long as he wants unless there is a closer vote. And then, if they have the sufficient number of votes for that, then debate is cut off. In other words, what it is supposed to be is to cool down passions that arise in the House. In the House, the representatives are elected to 2 year terms. They spend most of their time campaigning and reflecting the passions of the moment. The U.S. Senate is supposed to cool those passions down. It's only recently in the country's history that the Senate was elected. For most of this country's history, the Senate was selected by state legislative bodies, and they served 6 year terms. So in the Senate, you have unlimited debate. So when something stupid comes out of the House, it can be destroyed, tabled, put aside, and considered in a deliberate fashion. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But anytime you have a representative democracy, there's always a collateral consequence to something that is good. Every sword that comes up is a two-edged sword. It can swing both ways. Precedents can be set doing things that are good and then used later on for things that the original proponents felt was bad, very bad.
Okay. He wanted to ask me. And another thing that he was bringing up was he watched a documentary about Martin Luther King, I think, and Malcolm X, and he was also talking about that Martin Luther King went to Chicago and was not treated very well by even black ministers and black people because a lot of people was favoring.
1966, I was one of 5 delegates from the UCLA BSU. We went to Chicago because at that point, what had happened was the University of Illinois at Chicago had official segregation. There were certain areas of the campus where black students were not allowed. They were only allowed to go into the bookstore on certain days and at certain hours of the week. They could not hang in certain cafeterias on campus, and they couldn't stay in the same housing. We went out there. By the way, FYI, Bernie Sanders was leading a core chapter where he was president at the time in Chicago, and other black students had just bailed him out of jail. King came through briefly. A few months later, in 1967, it developed that they still had official segregation in some of the suburbs of Chicago. We were there, Sanders was there, Dr. King came there. He did not get a great deal of respect from a number of the so-called black leaders in the area. And as a matter of fact, somebody that the Negro slaves still love, Missy Hillary, who at that time was Hillary Rodham and president of the Young Republicans at her all-girls school,
Hey, why you
Wesley.
call Negro slaves, Judge? Why you call
Be
Negro slaves, Judge?
Yeah, well, they love her still, but she was there with her parents and they were demonstrating to keep the neighborhood segregated and keep the Negroes out. So King wasn't treated too well by some of the black leadership at that time.
No, he wasn't.
And I was
Well,
there.
let me ask you a question. I'm glad you said that.
He
I'm
deal with
glad
a
you
lot of
said that.
Negroes in church too.
They were jealous.
Yeah, a lot of those Negroes in
Okay.
church, but didn't like him.
They were
I know.
jealous.
Yeah, I know. I found out when I went to Chicago.
See,
But what
the
I'm
other
asking
thing
Judge,
is they wanted the money that was being raised for the civil rights activities. The other thing, too, is frankly, 1966, 67, civil rights was dead. What everybody was doing was militant, black power, power to the people. You raise your hand to me, and don't be on no knees praying. I'm taking your hand and your arm off. See, we were taking over stuff, burning stuff down, blowing stuff up, jacking folk, things like that. 65, August, the uprising in Los Angeles, uprising in Chicago, uprisings in part of New York, uprisings all over the American continent where black folk were burning down cities at the damage level of the Army Air Force in World War II in Germany. See, incidentally, I did do an intern thing with the Washington, D.C. think tank, and I'll tell you, we went through 60,000 pages of congressional record. There were only 4 or 5 pages in there about civil rights, and that had little to do with nothing in terms of the Voting Rights Act or the amendment to the Civil Rights Act, or even per se to the Civil Rights Act in the first place. And most of those other 60,000 pages were devoted to what are we going to do to stop this uproar, this destruction of property. The 1964 Civil Rights Act is interesting because Johnson was brilliant in getting it through his Southern colleagues. It was not posed as a civil rights act, but as a military defense matter. It says, whereas the United States is involved in a life or death struggle with the forces of communism and totalitarianism on a worldwide basis, and whereas the personnel of the armed forces form the bulwark of our defense against these evil enemies, whereas the morale of the troops is paramount in them being able to perform their duties and obligations, whereas the military has long been integrated, whereas the base commanders cannot control the environments around their bases, such that the military personnel of minority persuasion, basically, and their families can be expected to be treated like American citizens. Be it resolved that this act guarantee the civil rights of the military personnel, their families, and all others with whom they might identify is necessary. So, as LBJ used to say, you boys sit here and go take these niggers down this year. I'm going to make you look like a bunch of commie loving bastards with your constituents, and you will not come back to office. Now, last year you could turn the niggers down, but this year you're going to give them what they wants and needs. He withdrew Kennedy's weak civil rights bill and substituted a much stronger one, and he got it passed as a military defense matter. It was not in response to the civil rights demonstrations. So those civil rights demonstrations where the Negroes were down on their knees praying while some redneck beat them across the head until some other ones felt guilty about it, didn't have shit to do with the Civil Rights Act. It was a military defense matter.
You just took the words out of my mouth, man. You just took the
Didn't
words out of my
have
mouth
shit to do with it.
No, Judge, you're not. Yeah.
Look, DC was Chocolate City at the time, and I want you to understand, I was passing up some opportunities to pursue, acquire, and enjoy some fine ass DC nookie in Chocolate City, where they had 5 sisters for every brother that was doing something. It ain't that way now. It's the Rainbow City now. It's gay GC, Gay City, not Chocolate City. So,
Yeah.
it's changed, but I was in there doing that research until late at night in the Library of Congress with my eyes tired and red from reading all that stuff.
Wow. You just took the words out of my mouth.
Right, Judge?
You know what?
Hard work.
I made sacrifice in the interest of knowledge, information, and advancing the race.
Well, look, it's mighty funny you said that, because what you just said is funny, because when John Lewis had his funeral, Bill Clinton actually sat right there and said that John Lewis won, but Stokely Carmichael's winning. So he actually told you that more people was following Stokely Carmichael than John Lewis and Martin Luther King.
Oh, of course, nobody gave a damn about John Lewis. He was Bayard Rustin's butt buddy. And Bayard Rustin, I can remember to this day, I was sitting at the family kitchen table. My old man dropped the second section of the LA Times in front of me and said, "This is why so many people have a problem with participating in civil rights." It says, "Last evening in such and such park, noted civil rights leader and a close associate of Dr. Martin Luther King, Bayard Rustin, along with 2 male white suspects, was arrested in a car for indecent conduct. Bayard Rustin was engaged with in fellatio with 1 male white suspect. They gave the person's name, while another male white was committing acts of sodomy upon Bayard Rustin. He was sucking dick while another one was butt fucking him. And that was John Lewis was his protege.
Okay, now look, Judge, I gotta
I just leave the rest to your imagination. And frankly, John Lewis didn't do a damn thing for black folk when he was on the Black Caucus, which is just what do they call it? They're just a colored chapter of LGBTQ. They were surrogates. They are surrogates for LGBTQ, not servants of black folk, not representatives of black folk. And the whole sick, sorry bunch of them has not introduced 1 scrap of legislation for the good of black people since the whole sorry lot has been occupying office space in the Capitol building, or excuse me, the Congressional Office building.
And speaking of which, Judge, that goes to how useless, this is my opinion, how useless your Congressional Black Caucus is, because now you hear Tim Scott. I don't know if you saw the video with not only with Tim, I mean, he's not in the CBC, but Tim Scott and Kamala Harris, and now Jim Clyburn, that made the remark saying America is not a racist country. I don't know if you saw it when he was on Anderson Cooper.
Well, that witch, Kamala Imhoff,
why you call her Imhoff? Why you call her Imhoff?
Her name is Imhoff. She is Mrs. Imhoff, like Mrs. Hillary Clinton, like Mrs. Sarah Palin, like Mrs. Gloria Feinstein, like Mrs. Sarah Palin,
Mrs. Nancy Pelosi.
Yes, Ms. Nancy. I sorry, I said Palin. Ms. Nancy Pelosi. How in the devil? Oh, I forgot. Being married is a form of slavery for the feminists and BLM. And that Hindu witch is masquerading. And I'm not saying she's a witch because she's a Hindu. She's a witch who happens to be Hindu. She is not black. And the ignorant sorrow she got, and I say that with license because my dear departed mother went over as an AKA in 1934. So she's an ivy behind the wall. And they are not the first black Greek organization to have a vice president. That's for Alpha Phi Alpha. And the individual was Vice President Hubert Humphrey under Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was also the Democratic Party candidate for president in 1968, running against Tricky Dick, I am not a crook Nixon. And Hubert Humphrey was not black. He was a bald-headed white boy from Minnesota who was badass enough to pledge and make a black frat when they did not spare the wood in the making.
Okay, now look, I got to bring up this topic, Judge, about black manhood now, because you were in a skit in the movie Buck Breaking, which I'm going to get. So we got to talk about this because you were actually in this, and a lot of other people, Dr. Short, Tariq Nasheed, put that. This was a film Buck Breaking. It's on Amazon. I'm going to get it.
It's a film.
So,
It's not a movie.
You're in Buck Breaking? You're in the
It's
clip?
I haven't seen it, but I do recall I had a few words to say. I haven't seen
yeah.
it. What was it about? I
So,
forget.
I haven't seen it. I ordered it.
Okay, but this is what I'm gonna say because I'm glad because I'm getting it from me and I'm getting it from a friend of mine. But I just wanted to bring this to you. The topic of black manhood because last week, matter of fact, last Tuesday, we had a subject that a thing down here in Richmond, Virginia, where people got to shooting in a neighborhood called used to be called Oak Village, but now it's Bell Atlantic, and they got to shooting and shot 4 women. One of them was 3 months old that died, and the young woman died as well, right? And then they had like a celebration, like a balloon celebration, and they spoke in the neighborhood. But one of my friends that was over there, he was surprised to see it was probably like 5 women to every man. It was more women out there than men out there, and when they was expressing their grievances. So my thing is, I want to ask you is, how come we had these instances is more women out there than men?
Well, let's put it this way. It may be they're trying to get to the forefront and run things now. They can't. They haven't. They had the opportunity over the last 50 years. They failed. They ruined us. Reason being, man and woman have to operate together to raise children. You need both to have a family. Too many men have run. Too many men have been chased off. Too many checks got cut off because there were men around. Too many fool women wanted the check more than they wanted the father in the home. And too many women right now take things out on their children by excluding the man who is trying to be a father. That happens.
What do you think of what she's saying?
But back to this other
80% unwed mother.
back to this other unwed mother situation. Back to this other point about the demonstrations. There's no point in demonstrating right now because of the recent small, tiny, minuscule addition to the long roll of black people who have been slaughtered in this country because of racism. It's time to stop worrying about the individual collateral damage to the fact that we have not stepped to the plate and done what we ought to have done to be free. It is time to stop worrying about protesting a small incremental increase in the number of dead black folk when we don't have sense enough to come off of the damn Democratic Party slave plantation and vote for something other than our own enslavement or continued enslavement. We don't need to be worrying about protesting one more set of dead black folk when we have so many that ought to be protested in mass for the huge number who have been killed. Now, every time you get one thing that hits somebody's cell phone or some kind of body cam recorded or some kind of security cam recorded, there are 300 or 400 other similar instances. And we need to understand that and stop letting
That's true.
ourselves getting worked up for the commercial benefit, the ratings benefit of news, which has become perverse entertainment. I haven't seen a newscaster give a decent news report in years, except every now and then you find one or two on YouTube. And even then, they try to make it entertaining and they rant around and hem and haw and talk bullshit for an hour and 20 minutes out of the hour and 30 that they're on blathering away, saying nothing but 5, maybe 10 minutes worth of substance that you could have read in 3 minutes.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you said that because, well, I'm gonna ask that question, Taji Palmer. Don't you worry about it, okay? I'm gonna ask that question because I might want to get his opinion on that one. But look, but I get what you're saying about that, and I did say because, like you've always said, you said it plenty of times. You've had a lot of people say it. Matter of fact, what is holding signs really gonna do? You said that.
Not one damn thing.
Okay.
Except give the local news station and then their affiliated networks the opportunity. There were demonstrations in Charlotte today. What did you think about this, sir? It was really just too much. I'm tired of this. These racists are going to have to do something. And we have this outpouring of feeling. We have to do something about this. And toxic masculinity, and all of these guns have to be taken out of the community. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
Well, the question I got to ask you, and I'm gonna swing it to Gavin, because somehow we're missing the message on manhood, and with this word buck breaking. I mean, every time I see a Negro in a dress on the Oscars or whatever the hell he's doing, it makes me almost sick to my stomach,
That is
right?
not a man.
So what the
That
hell are
is
we
not a
doing?
man with these dresses on. It's a male, but
Okay,
he's
a
not a
male. Yes,
man.
a male.
A
Okay.
man
Fine,
is a
fine, a male.
status you have to earn. You used to have these rite of passages where if you didn't survive something, ate your ass up or you died. If you survived, then you had passed your rite of passage and you were rightfully considered a man of your tribe, your nation, your group, your community. Now they don't have these, and they have these little, we go out in the woods and spend 2 days and the kids get scared of the shadows. That's not lethal. That is not dangerous. That's just some bullshit that somebody's trying to feel good over and they don't know what's going on. See, a rite of passage like boot camp. In the military, you can get killed in boot camp. And if you make it through boot camp, you are now initiated and you became a jarhead, a grunt, a swabby, or a flyboy.
Right.
Now all you do when they have these boot camps in the penitentiary, you just become a more exercised convict and you don't belong to shit except to the status of being a convict. See, I tried that 31 and 28 to 28 years ago in sentencing. It didn't work. Didn't do anything because they didn't go anything through anything that was really hazardous. They didn't become part of anything. And it wasn't really a rite of passage because it wasn't
Let me
a
ask you one more
test.
question. Let me ask you one more question. I'm gonna let Gavin say this. So, what do I do when I have a young 22-year-old guy come to me on the street 3 weeks ago, and he told me that he feels defeated by everything that's going on right now? What do I? Well, what can I? What more words can I say to him?
Motherfucker, quit punking out. Man your ass up. Sissified motherfucker. There's always been adversity. Used to be shit out there that'd eat your dumb ass for lunch and snack on your goddamn bones for a midnight snack. Man
What
up
what
and
saying?
get your shit together. And meanwhile, Pay attention to what you're being taught, kindergarten through 12th grade, and you can get your ass out the hood.
Well, I mean, no, the guy, he was like a young, he was like I think he go to school, but he was just talking about, that, the professor getting on him, and, he
Well,
don't know
get your
what to
shit
say to him
together.
back.
If somebody's getting
Okay.
on your ass, learn how to deal with it. Life is a worse bitch
It's
than
adversity,
any goddamn teacher or instructor. And she's a bad bitch, Mother Nature, who will exterminate your ass. Extinction is her little game.
Okay. Now, Gavin, go ahead and answer, because I want you to talk about, well, you might have seen Buck Break, but talk about some manhood points that you got. Because you around my age, the judge. Right. We like your senior self being on and telling us some good stuff.
Start a business. Especially, that's what my advice to that young man would be. I mean, look, a lot of people start from scratch with nothing and have started to, it takes time to build yourself up and build your name, but shit, start a business. People started out, selling stuff from their kitchen and so forth. People started out in their garage working on stuff. The guy that makes, I don't know if you heard of I have a spice company with my family that we're starting.
Yep.
I got a music publishing company. Like, I'm trying to find ways to get out of it, and I just hustle each now and then. The guy that made Tony Chachere's, which is a big seasoning down here in Louisiana in the South, he started. I mean, he's white, but hell, he started right out of his garage doing it.
Look at here. Okay. They have motherfuckers that snuck across the goddamn border, didn't even bring the goddamn toothbrush. The only thing they got on them is the drawers they roll. And they come over here, and in 10 years, some of our sorry asses will be trying to apply to them for a job.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I got another question here. So, okay, because you're the first person I want to ask this. So I heard you say earlier, bang, not bling, not Jordans, not the new PS5, none of that. But when you got a society that push that on advertisement, see, the advertisement bother me. But
why the fuck does some fool gotta sit there and look at this shit? Turn it off. Pay attention if your ass is still in school, and get those books so you can get your tired ass out the hood if you want to. And here's the other thing. Nothing comes easy when it's to success. A successful musician is obsessive about the music and his practice. A successful lawyer obsesses about getting it right. An excessive doctor obsesses, a successful doctor obsesses about his medicine. A successful mother obsesses about being a good mother. You have to work your ass off to get far doing anything. There is no such thing as an easy way. The only thing that's easy is to fail.
If there is no struggle, there's no progress. Frederick Douglass.
That's right. Yo, Judge, why you bad mouthing my household, man? We make 130,000, man. My woman make 110, and I bring in 20. That's enough. No, it's not, punk, because your ass ain't doing shit. Goddamn simp ass.
I gotta give one thing.
Single font being a
Judge, I gotta
what
give
the
you
hell
credit
you
one
doing?
thing. Win, lose, the draw. Some of your the stuff you say, because back in the day we used to, people used to say sister, you punk, and all that. But then you say sister to pump somebody there, somebody ready to, they gonna say, they might go tell on you. You know how they go now. You know how they tell on you because you made these words, right? I don't really care.
Let me take this. Let me say this, Bernard. The society of men of the culture today is weak. It is weak. That's just like what happened with Rappaport when he took that private conversation with Durant and made it public for the NBA. And and the NBA fines Durant for abusive language, because really it was about they called the homophobic stuff he said. And
homophobic, that's normal shit.
No, but that's what they say. That's what they kind of testify.
Punk asses.
But Rappaport was a punk ass for doing that, because
he's a punk.
Yeah,
punk ass motherfucker.
and then wanting to play victim when everybody clowns him. Oh, I can't go out in the park without anybody talking about me and my wife and all this stuff. You need to talk about your ass because that was stupid. That was weak. That was a conversation between men.
Sissy, oversized sissy motherfuckers. That's what you got. It's because you
Judge,
tall
here goes
enough to
the thing
play
right here.
basketball don't make you a non-punk.
This is out of the norm. This wasn't in the conversation. We're gonna pivot back because I got to ask some more things about manhood. But this lady asked you to how you feel about Biden's first 100 days. She put that in there. So
goddamn punk ass behaved as punk ass as I expected him to. He's being consistent with his last 50 years in government. Piece of shit. A jackass.
Okay. And this other lady says our ancestors moved mountains, whereas today our people are being stopped by molehills. Time Celador from, yeah.
Yes, I remember her from the last several times I was on. She's very nice to look upon. That's why I like coming on. You have interesting people that listen in.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about this statement?
I had to put my glasses on to take a look at that. It's small down on my cell phone screen.
She's a dime.
Well, she said our ancestors moved mountains, whereas today our people are stopped by molehills. So what do you think about that comment that she's making?
That's true. They punked out. Poor women, it's so hard to find a black man. I don't understand. I get why they drift over into other races. And black men, a lot of black men like to go over to white because white women, they'll put up with a lot more. And if they ally with you, they'll push you. Whereas the sisters want delivery, which is, they know the game. So it's going to be hard for the sisters. Like I said, only 28% of the last 20 years high school graduates are male. Only 32% of the undergrads are male. That means we have an interesting situation where 68% of the college students who get an undergrad degree are female. We got another one where 64% get the graduate degrees because only 36% of the grad students are male. It's hard. That means basically there are 2 women for every 1 man who is on the same level that they are education wise. And because only 44% of the workforce is male, that means what you've got is almost 60%. Again, 2 for every 1 man who has got a job. That's rough.
Well, this is what she just told you.
Go blame your grannies. Go blame your mammies. Listen, they need to blame their grannies, their mammies, and their aunties for raising these non-man boys who don't graduate from high school, don't go to college, don't go to grad school, and don't work. Because you can't blame the guys because there ain't no guys raising them.
Okay. Well, there you go, Judge, right here. She says many men are soft even here in Memphis. So she's in the Memphis area like you. So that's good that she brought this up. Because
Ms. Celador, I want you to help me out when I run for mayor in 2023. That's what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Well, when you run for mayor, I got to ask
Memphis in 2023 to turn some of these punks they got running stuff around here, not for our good, getting paid under the table. From everywhere, from our Congressman Steve Cohen, who, by the way, is chair of the subcommittee that drafted and got passed that Asian Protective Act. And even though he represents the 9th district in Memphis, Tennessee, that is 91% black, the bastard hasn't done a damn thing for black folk in the 6 terms he's been in there. And the only legislation before this that he saw through was a binding resolution that they could only use paper straws in the congressional cafeteria. That extends to the mayor of the county, who hasn't done a damn thing, to the lackadaisical Pillsbury Doughboy, who is the mayor of Memphis, to the city council that is corrupt as hell, to the county commission that is useless. Now, there are a few,
Question.
but I can't think
My
of them
thing
right
is,
now.
you just told me Steve Cohen is a subcommittee. Why is a 91% black district getting overrun by Steve Cohen?
The first black congressman, which was then the 8th district, was Harold Ford Sr. He had to keep them from stealing an election in 1974. He was the congressman. He retired in favor of his son, Harold Ford Jr., who retired to run for U.S. Senate in Tennessee and then again in New York against Hillary Witch Clinton. He lost. And we had 14 ignorant colored folk who ran in the Democratic primary trying to replace him. Steve Cohen was the only white boy. He's Jewish, he's gay, and he jumped in the race. He got the nomination for the 9th district. That means you win because the Republicans not going to take it. So what happens is, the machines are corrupt, and finally we got new machines that, by the way, for the last 4 election cycles have been sitting in a warehouse while the corrupt ones have been used. And thank you, Miss Celador. You have already offered to volunteer. Most definitely. I have been campaigning and have fundraising experience. Yes, please see me. I will make sure you'll get put to work. We need you.
But look, but the question I got to ask you.
See, that's why the Democratic Party gets where it gets, because they involve the women. The women do most of the work in a political campaign.
Right.
Not only man the phones, they make the calls, they do the solicitations, they go smile at somebody and pat them on their cheeks and ask for the votes. Women are very important to the political process. You can't win an election without the women. Now, granted,
got a question.
Do vote for people because they think they're a chick flick matinee star, but a lot of them will vote for people with substance. We need to maximize that kind because we already have enough foolish people as it is. White, black, brown, red, yellow. Everybody needs to be getting something out of the deal for their vote besides frustration.
She said they do the flirting too, Judge. She said redo the flirting too.
Well, flirt with me. I'm single. I'm single.
Hey man, no. Hey,
Me too is listening. We'll find a way to keep you off the poles, off the out of the boot.
But the question I gotta ask you, Judge, is a question.
Like I say, the only thing you're gonna find on me is I'll occasionally go off on a fool like I did with that idiot trying to play Judge Judy at juvenile court. And you know, I've settled down, but for a long time I was a bachelor in Memphis. I did like the ladies, but I have no outside babies floating around. So,
Wow.
But you know,
wow. Yeah, tell us that, man, but okay.
You know, there's a good book. I want to make this point. There's a book by our brother Sean James, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And I got to start looking at it. I haven't finished his Man Crisis book, but he breaks down a lot of things in it so far from what I'm reading, why things are the way they are, how the family unit has been under attack, even in both books, The Man Crisis. And even when we go into why when you talk his second book, why black women are 70% of black women are single. It's very good to read that because he goes through those topics and what we see today. Because I see like America, especially in the black community, I find it's it's kind of a matriarchy right now, right, Judge?
It is, and I am a chauvinistic patriarch, and that doesn't sit well
America
with me.
in general is a matriarchy.
It is a matriarchy. But you
Yeah.
see, matriarchies have failed everywhere in the world they have tried to pop into existence. It just doesn't work.
Okay. Um, she said, "I'm not getting to all this time stuff.
Go
So I
right
can't put
ahead. It
that."
might be entertaining.
Look. She said, "I might flirt for the vote, but I'm not gonna twerk for the vote." So that's kind of entertaining, but
Get
I
your booty
like
to the
that. Flirt
pole.
for the vote, but not twerk for the vote. Thank you.
Hey,
And
Judge, why don't you?
could somebody do something about Lizzo the hippo?
Oh, Lord.
You know,
hey, wait a
somebody
minute.
like
Rick,
her, keep your clothes on for goodness sakes. Do not get naked or do not be in a Lakers game with your thigh length black t-shirt with a big cutout for your fat ass in a yellow thong and twerk in front of all of those spectators
It's
with
black.
children watching. That is obscene. It's bad for the appetite. Some people haven't eaten dinner, or maybe they're lined up for a late supper. That is not fair. And then that one where she had all of those guys standing around with champagne bottles spraying her ugly fat ass as she was bent over twerking and asking people to submit proposed captions with a prize of $1,000 to the best one. I proposed but did not send it. I just tweeted it. I said, elephant keep zookeeper spray happy elephant. You know,
well, look, I
that
got a few
that
more
a lot
questions
of
to ask
people
you.
do that. That's obscene. That's ugly.
I got a few, I got a few more questions to ask you. And a friend of mine asked, why do black men put up tweets and then they always apologize? LeBron James, Damon John, why do we always say something and then
They
we back
punk
down?
out because somebody threatened their money.
Money.
I was the second highest paid person in TV land behind Judge Judy. I was the highest paid man for a while. I told them to go fuck off when they started trying to get me to push that shit. I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. I can retire now. Fuck you. Where's my money?
Wow.
And I'm out of here. So you got to have balls. Some things you have to do. And as I tell them, you put enough away to retire? Or get yourself an ordinary job like other people do instead of coming up and spewing this damn poison. And plus, what you do to earn a living is what a whole lot of other people do to have recreation. So it ain't like you doing
Hey,
surgery
Dana.
on people or getting folk out of jail. It isn't like you're passing vital legislation that helps out the many. It isn't like you're running a business employing a lot of folk. You just out there playing ball, which is nothing wrong with it. If you do like Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or somebody, and you use the opportunity to fund the business or stake in a business, or you're a scholar like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is the greatest of all time, also a classmate of mine from UCLA. So I mean, it is what it is.
I want to say
well,
something to listen, if I
And
could.
hello, Miss Dana,
look,
Miss Cumberlanda. How are you, my dear? I saw you flash your pretty face, or at least Mr. Johnson flashed it down there in the corner. Hi there.
Hello. I
go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out on the Lizzo thing. I had gotten an alert when she was out there twerking at the Staples Center that the whole front row reported it smelled like shit.
wow.
Lord,
Wow.
if
Wow.
she had farted, that whole if she had farted, that thong would have turned into a wind sail. Just she would have floated her big ass out of it. She would have floated her ass out of there. Nah, that was awful. You know, but she does that. They do that for attention, man. It's like I remember when she performed at the MTV Awards. I honestly didn't know who she was, and she came out. Oh, she came out wearing. She came out doing one of her songs, and they put a big old booty behind her, inflatable one, and I didn't know what the hell I was watching. This I think it was the MTV Awards when they did that. So that's who they picked to represent black
Black.
women. And
But you
like
know
your
what?
Damon John for I just want to say this, Damon John was with Fubu, which was for us by us, but now it was for us, but till the other man took it. So he when he apologized for putting that tweet up praising Farrakhan, it just shows you that black people who are in Hollywood, those that are rich and wealthy, they have no independence.
You should not badmouth Minister Farrakhan. That is a punk out routine to deal with some of those folk out there who don't like him. You don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. They don't
Well, let
apologize
me
for
ask you a question.
that rainbow magic shit. See, that's wrong. We are
But let me ask
normal
you a question,
people.
though, Judge.
We're
I gotta
breeders.
ask you a question about that, actually, because my thing is, when I was young, we used to think that gay people were weak and soft, but daggone, every time I look around, they bowing down to the rainbow crowd. What the hell is going on?
Maybe they unbelted, dropped their breeches, dropped their boxers, bent, and got butt cheeks spread so they could be initiated. Oh, just a little, just a little. I can fantasize for my next part like I'm in the penitentiary. Just go on so I can be initiated. Yeah, punk. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I just can't understand how. But, you know, I guess if some people do it, it's their right. But just like anything else, when you start trying to impact politics, sociology, and economics, then you a free game for comment. And nobody's supposed to be above commentary, including profane and joking commentary.
Well,
Meanwhile, you know what I thought Lizzo was about first time I saw her? You know, when you go to Disneyland, they've got people in these fiberglass heads dressed up like Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, and Donald Duck. I thought Lizzo was one of those hippos they had in Fantasia that was running around in tutus. I mean, I said,
Wow.
oh, Disney World, Disneyland. They brought somebody from, you know, one of those characters. That must be one of those hippos in tutus.
Well, Judge, I
Lord,
gotta say this again. I gotta say this. I gotta get up, help somebody, and
I mean,
I
if you
gotta
look
wait
like
a minute,
that,
wait a
put some goddamn clothes on. Now, what is that
minute. And
other
look,
strange fool that one of the BLM founders smears her ass down in gold grease and poses naked on the street with her hippo looking self? I see why she hates men. Because men don't, well, I take that back. Maybe somebody's mama looked like that, but you know, maybe that's where he got it from. I love my mama. You're a man. It's like some sixth grade kid said in the principal's office, and I was at the school to speak. He said, yeah, I said that about the boy's mama. And my friend who was the principal said, what did you say about his mama? And the other one chimed in, he was crying. He said, my mama's so big and fat, she can't get in a bathtub, but with two splashes of water. That's why she can't never get clean and she stinks so bad. Well, the boy wasn't lying when he said that, because when the mama showed up, you could smell her from 5 to 6 feet away, and it was pretty bad. So, I mean, truth is truth.
yeah. Well, look, Judge, I gotta, like I said, I gotta help a lady work out in the morning and get stuff done. But I did tell you I was gonna catch you. I'm glad they caught on. You was a little late, but that's okay. Like I said, as long as you made it here, and I had to cancel her in, so I just want to say I'm always glad. About 85% of the stuff you say to me is right on point. And I thank you for coming. I just thank you that you actually talk to us younger guys so some people won't feel defeated. So
Well,
that
I
includes the
want to
comments.
talk to you. See, a man's job is to protect womanhood and promote manhood in the next generation. Plus, we have to have the next generation after you guys. And if you guys can't get no pussy, then there ain't going to be no next generation. I'm trying to help you to get some trim. See, you got to man up for taking care of your business, and you got to man up if you want to engage in the masculine art of the pursuit, acquisition, and enjoyment of nookie, which is a lifetime passion for most of us who play alpha male and are alpha males. We had herd bulls. We get lots of nookie. I got. What are you doing?
Well,
Practicing to be a dirty old man so I can sit there in my rocking chair with a smile on my face and everybody, why are you smiling like that?
well,
Oh, if you
well.
only knew.
Well,
Listen to me. When you get old, you can smile too. Say, that was a good one. Yeah, I remember that one. That one was real good. Yes, it was.
well, like I said, Judge, thank you, but thanks for the closing comment. Oh, matter of fact, mention that thing you put on Twitter earlier. What was it about that? It was like a quote you gave out, something on Twitter. It was like a text or something about
Manhood,
manhood, right?
Man Monday.
Yeah,
Hold on, let me
yeah.
bring it up. Don't go nowhere.
And what are your closing comments, Gavin?
What I would say first and foremost, thank you for having me come on, and good night to everyone. But be mindful of everything that is going on, in particular with the Supreme Court. We have a freedom of speech issue as well as a Second Amendment issue that's going on before the United States Supreme Court that a lot of people may not be aware of. I did see Melinda and Bill Gates are getting a divorce, so she probably didn't take the vaccine uh, either. And that's an interesting story. And tune in tomorrow for Random Topic Tuesdays. I'll go live and find something to talk about. I don't know what time, but just something random, and we'll move forward from there. But thank you for having me, Bernard, and thank you, Judge, for your wisdom.
Counselor, thank you for your dedication to the law and your developing wisdom and discernment
Thank you.
and your erudite perspective on things. Now, what did I come up with today that I posted? Is Man Monday, first Monday of the month. Men should be aware that manhood is under attack. Women should be alarmed, especially if they have sons. Men, be the man. Women, find a man. Man up. Do your part. And you can even consider it in terms of the enemy, as cisgenders, norms, and breeders. Do our thing to be men is all about protecting womanhood and promoting manhood. So man up Monday and make that your motto for the rest of this month and for the balance of the year, each and every first Monday of the month. Man up on Man Up Monday and stay that way.
Oh, and matter of fact, one question. Dana she asked India just confirmed 20 million coronavirus infections and thoughts, and Bill Gates announced divorce and thoughts, and Bill Gates not wanting to get a vaccine to India.
Give the vaccine to who? To Indians? The
To
Indians?
India.
India. She said Bill Gates,
They
yeah,
got
doesn't want
enough
to give it to him
goddamn
or
money
something.
over in India. Hell, every damn time you got a problem with your computer, it winds up in Calcutta. Let them pay for it. We haven't even dealt with all the people here who want it. And by the way, contrary to what we hear on the forums we go on, a lot of black people want these vaccinations and they're bitching in Memphis because it's hard to find a place. So we don't have an
Well,
adequate supply here. So how dare them send that stuff over to India? Just because the vice
well,
president lied about what she was, Mrs. Imhoff, and now she gets in and her people get all the goodies and the one she bamboozled into being so supportive, we don't get shit. Bill Gates.
well,
Bill Gates.
well, I'm gonna say this to you. Like I say, always give brother. You can get this brother on at Judge Joe Brown TV, and he does not have a blue check.
Thank you. You can find me on
Yeah.
Parlor too. and that's on Judge Joe Brown, and they gave me a red P in 15 minutes. But Twitter's a bunch of assholes who have an agenda, which is to sissify the country. So they don't want too much about manhood. I had somebody audit all of the people that still listen to follow me. It's 240 some thousand, but Twitter claims I only have 44,800 some odd followers. And hell, I went up to 44,900, almost 45,000. Then they dropped it down to 46,000, and that was the week after the election. And they claim that it's taking that long to build back up, but fuck them, they just happen to have the position they have, monopolizing these things using the airwaves, and somebody ought to snatch them in and get them jacked around and changed into a public utility so there is no longer such censorship. This is as effective as the Nazis did, but those jackbooted fascists have been replaced by pink panty wearing fascists. The jackbooted kind took over the government, then imposed censorship and propagandized the people so they could keep in control. The pink panty wearing fascists took over the media 50 years ago, propagandized the people, and now have staged a coup to take over the government. So I guess they don't goose step, but I guess they twerk. The old Nazis goose stepped and did Zeke Heil, and these folk, they twerk. And I don't know what the hell they do for a salute. Maybe they pucker up and suck or something. I don't know.
Blow kisses.
There you go.
Well,
I
with that
don't
being
know.
said, I want y'all to take your time and you have a good night, and keep on doing what you're doing. Just thanks for coming on everybody's shows and giving out your thoughts, opinions, and more, and keeping the Black manhood crisis. I mean, the ship is we holding on. We're holding by a thread. We don't have too many of you left, so keep it going.
I'm just
Take your
teaching
time.
a lesson. Gee whiz, Chucky. Learn how to get some nucky. It's fun.
All right, we're taking time.
Check me out tomorrow, channel GBoo2786. 2786. Subscribe, man. Subscribe to Twitter, Gavin Rich 2786.
There you go, counselor.
All right.
Take your time.
Have a good one, Bernard. I'll see you later. See y'all. Talk to y'all on Friday too. I guess when Valerie wants to do a show.
Okay, well, just let me know.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is 929-477-1167. 929-477-1167. And Dana Cumberlander is on there too. You might want to check her out. She usually has a pretty good show. Sometimes all of us have been on there from time to time.
All right, well,
Anyway,
y'all take
I'm
your
out
time
of
and
here.
have a good. All right. All right now.
All right. Oh,